Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Technique Tasters brought to you by Creative Scrapbooker Magazine. I'm Noreen Smith from Creative Memories, and in this episode, I'm going to use some of the riveting collection from Creative Memories to create a home improvement layout featuring this fun paintbrush and sort of paint strip that you will see in the spring issue of Creative Scrapbooker Magazine. Now, the Riveting Collection launched in January 2024 and features a variety of patterns and colors that's perfect for documenting all of your home improvement adventures or perhaps misadventures. I'm going to be using the paper, the embellishments, and some of the stickers, but there is also a package of coordinating variety map pack cards, a great hand tools border punch, a new recipe template that's perfect for your before and after photos, and a fantastic new album that's going to be a great place to keep all of your layouts about that big home renovation project. So let's get started by cutting up some of the paper that we're going to need for the layout. So as you can see on the layout, I've used this fun blueprint pattern paper as my base page, and then there is a layer or a square cut from the sort of crumpled paper, and this particular piece is 11 inches square. So I'm going to be able to just center that right over top of my base page. But anytime I'm making this frame style layout, I like to gut or cut out the center of my base page so that I'm conserving some of this paper for another use, and also I'm making my pages a little bit less in weight. It's not a lot, but of course when you get a bunch of different layouts into your albums, the weight does add up. So in order to gut my base page, as I mentioned, my layer is 11 inches square. So I can confidently cut out a 10-inch square from the center of my base page. And I'm going to use Creative Memories 12-inch trimmer to do that. Great trimmer for all of your cutting needs, and we're going to come back and use it a little bit differently later on in this layout. But in order to gut a piece of paper, and I mentioned I was going to cut out a 10-inch square. So I'm going to place my edge of my paper at the 1-inch mark, and you can do it either on this side of the cutting guide or on that side. Either one is fine. I'm going to place it at the 1-inch mark, and I'm actually just going to put my finger on the 1-inch mark at the side here. So the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to start cutting right at that mark, and then I'm going to bring my finger down to the 11-inch mark, and I'm going to stop my cutting there. And the reason I can do that is because of this little white line on the side of my blade housing. And wherever that little white line is, when I depress the blade housing, that will engage the blade and start the cut. So I can move my blade to any location, determine where I want to start the cut, then press it down in order to begin, lift up or release pressure when I want to stop. So I'm going to place my finger right here. From the side, I'm looking to make sure that white line is lined up with my finger. I'm going to press down, move my finger down to 11 inches, and cut. And then when I repeat this on all 4 sides, I will have cut a perfect 10-inch square from my base page, and I'll have a nice big piece of paper to use in my other projects. So it's a great way to, again, conserve paper and also just make your layouts just a little bit lighter. So there's my 10-inch square. I can set that aside, and now I can adhere my 11-inch square right on top of the base page, and I'm ready to go. Okay, so now my base page is ready. I can now concentrate on making our paper pieced paintbrush. That's a little bit of a tongue twister. So what I have here is a 3.5 inch by 6 inch piece of paper. It's the wood grain pattern with the stripes on the back. So I'm using that paper twice here in this layout. And I've got a couple of markings on it. And this is going to help me kind of create the handle and the base of the paintbrush from one piece of paper. So what I've done is I've just taken a ruler and a pencil, and from the top along the long side, the 6-inch side, I've just marked down to 2 inches. And then along the bottom edge, I've just marked in 1 inch from either side. So again, 2 inches down from the top, 1 inch in from either side. And that's going to create the base and the handle. And instead of, freehand drawing a line or just, cutting a line that's just straight, I'm going to use my Creative Memories custom cutting system rectangles to help me do a little bit of shaping and cutting. So here we're going to do kill two birds with one stone. And I'm going to take the largest rectangle from the custom cutting system rectangles and the red blade. And you can see that there's little pegs on the blade housing, and then there's the little blade. So the pegs fit into the outside or inside track of your custom cutting system templates. And then by moving them around the template, you can get your cut. So I'm going to line up my largest template, my largest rectangle template, just inside the cuts that I've made at 2 inches and 1 inch. And when I put my blade into the track and then just follow around, I'm going to cut out that nicely curved shape of my handle. So there's the base of my paintbrush. To just decorate this up a little bit, first of all, I'm going to use our 2-way corner rounder to just round the corners of my handle. And already that looks a lot better. But we're really excited that we now have a Creative Memories handheld 1-hole punch. And it's wonderful because it's got this great rubber grip on it, nice and sturdy, and it's going to be a perfect little punch for you to use for a lot of different things. So I'm just lining it up there and punching a hole in the bottom of my paintbrush. So there's my handle pretty much ready. Now we need to concentrate on getting some bristles. So I've cut a 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch square from the darker brown wood grain. And I thought the dark brown would be good to use as bristles. On the back side is the pegboard shape. So this just really looks like brown paper right now. So we've got to do a couple of things to it. If you notice on the paintbrush edges of the bristle here, they look kind of wavy or irregular. So we're actually going to use the 12-inch trimmer to help us with that. When you flip over the trimmer, you've got all these spaces for a number of different replacement blades. And we've got several. The one I'm going to use right now is called the Victorian blade. And you can see from the little picture there that it's going to create an irregular decorative edge. So this is a fun thing to do just to add a little bit of variety to your projects without needing an additional tool. Just switch out your blade and you're going to have a completely different look. So I'm going to take my 3.5 inch square bristles, and I can see that there's actually some lines going that way. So because the bristles would be coming out from the paintbrush, I'm going to use that side. And I'm just going to cut across the edge with the Victorian blade, and it's going to create that sort of wavy or irregular edge. I hope you can see that on the camera. So that's created a fun edge. Now all we need to do is maybe take a pen. You can use just one of our regular Creative Memories dual tip pens. And I'm just going to draw some random lines here in the same direction as the wood grain was going. And that will sort of mimic the look of all of the individual bristles, the little bristle hairs. So it looks a little bit more like a brush. So now when I add that to my paintbrush handle, it looks like the handle and the bristles. So let's just use a little bit of tape runner here along the edge and attach our handle. And then we're going to do just a couple of things to make our handle look even more realistic. What I've done is I've taken a piece of our Platinum Shimmer cardstock. Again, I hope the camera picks up on how shimmery and shiny that is. It does kind of look like metal. And I've basically got a 1 inch by 3.5 inch piece. And when I add this just on top, the top edge here, all of a sudden that's starting to look a little bit more like a paintbrush. So you can see how our paintbrushes come together here. And my final little addition to the paintbrush comes from the enamel stickers in the riveting embellishment pack. So when you open up the pack, of course, you've got all of these great little sayings and die cut embellishments. And some of these we're going to use, I think the before and after die cuts we're going to use. But when you get to the bottom of the embellishments, we've got this fun little sheet of all of these enamel stickers, self-adhesive enamel stickers that do look like little nuts and bolts and screw heads. So I'm going to take a couple and I'll just use my multi-purpose tool to add a couple. Here I've got some kind of hexagonal shaped ones. So let's repeat that down here. You can choose from silver or gold. And just that little addition really creates our fun little paintbrush. So great details on that and super easy to make. You can see that I wanted it to look like the stripe or strip of paint is coming down from the corner of the layout as if it's being sort of dragged down by the paintbrush. So really what I need to do is create a 3.5 inch strip that's going to be long enough to go right off the page. So I'm just going to, again, bring back my 12-inch trimmer. It's really the hero of this layout, it seems, today. And I'm going to use this 45-degree line just to make sure I'm getting through that nice and evenly. So I'm just going to cut down through my paper. I'm going to save that for another layout. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So right now I'm going to take about 2 inches off this side. I don't want to waste these pieces, but they might come out a little bit as unusual shapes. And now I can sort of make that 3.5 inch wide piece as I need it. So now you can see that that's going to fit nicely in the corner of my paper, and my paintbrush can just lay over top. So again, the measurement for that is about 8 inches long in total, including that little corner piece, and 3.5 inches wide, same width as our paintbrush. So I've got a 5 inch by 4 inch sort of mat that I'm just going to offset behind my photo. I'm not really matting my photo with a regular border, just enhancing some of those angles that we've already got going with the paintbrush. And again, another 5 inch by 4 inch mat and another 5 inch by 4 inch photo. So I'm just taking up the rest of the space there left behind from my paintbrush and my paint stripe. And then, of course, the fun part, I'm pulling back in my embellishments from the embellishment pack, and I've got a fun little to-do list that I can tuck in behind here for my journaling. And we definitely want to use the before and after embellishments. And I've got one more embellishment here that I'm going to add in. Perfect place for my little paint tray. And then I can pull in my stickers for my finishing touches, those fun little paint blobs, which are going to end up right in this area here. My arrow that helps kind of show the progression from how messy it was to the after picture. I've got another little embellishment that I can use here for my before picture, little paint brushes. And then finally, my title getting messy is going to go right in that area as well. So really a fun way to document your home improvement, your home renovation, your painting projects, whatever you've got going. I love creating those kind of fun shapes with our Creative Memories products and tools. So thanks again to Creative Scrapbooker Magazine for having me here today to talk about the riveting collection and to show you how I made that fun paintbrush featured on the layout that you'll find in the spring issue of the magazine. It will be on newsstands soon, but if you are a subscriber, you're going to get your spring issue faster than anything. So if you're not a subscriber, make sure you do so today so that you don't miss anything. Thanks again to Creative Scrapbooker Magazine, and I hope that I'll see you again soon to do some more fun things with Creative Memories products. Bye for now.